Hi, I'm Melissa Cobb. Come fly with AOPA. This week we're coming to you from West Virginia, where I'm doing some beginner backcountry flying, and don't be alarmed in case you hear some cows mooing in the background here, because we are on a farm. All right, well, this week we bring you the latest on the Cessna Citation accident. The accident occurred in Virginia and killed 4 people. We talk about the do's and don'ts of airplane etiquette and take you behind the scenes of a banner tow operation.
AOPA keeps flying safe, accessible, and fun by protecting your freedom to fly. We are the most trusted one-stop resource for all things related to general aviation. Become an AOPA pilot today.
Well, a high-profile Cessna Citation accident has dominated the news. The jet actually flew over Washington, D.C. airspace, and so fighters were scrambled to intercept the jet. They created a sonic boom. The intercepting pilots reported that they saw the Citation pilot actually slumped over the controls. The aircraft later crashed in rural Virginia, and unfortunately, all 4 people on board were killed. AOPA Air Safety Institute Senior Vice President Richard McSpadden has released an early analysis of this accident. He shares what we know so far, as well as some lessons that we can learn from this tragedy.
The first is to make sure we understand our cabin pressurization systems, how they operate and what the indicators are of whether or not they're operating correctly. And then to make sure we reinforce on our procedures that we're checking the proper schedule, both on start, on takeoff, on climb out, and at cruise. If we wait until cruise to check in the cabin pressurization, it could be too late. The second is to make sure that we know our hypoxic symptoms, our symptoms for hypoxia. They can differ for each person. If you've not had the opportunity to go through an altitude chamber, I strongly recommend you do that so that you can get the sense of hypoxia and pick up the symptoms for yourself. And then if you ever see those symptoms, to know immediately your first response is to put on the oxygen and then figure out whether or not the symptoms are there or valid. And then finally, to remind ourselves of the rules on wearing oxygen masks. If you're single pilot above flight level 350, you're required to wear an oxygen mask. If you have more than one pilot, then above flight level 410, you wear the oxygen mask, or at least one pilot has to be on the oxygen mask if they're the quick donning type, which most masks are these days. In this case, it wouldn't have factored. The pilot looks like he was unconscious before he got to that altitude, but it's just a reminder to make sure we're recognizing the importance of wearing the mask when it's required.
You can watch the full early analysis on the Air Safety Institute's YouTube channel. Just click on the link in the upper right of your screen. Well, if you rent or if you fly other people's airplanes, you might want to pay attention to these tips. AOPA social media marketer Kayla McLeod-Hunt is a true pro at flying other people's airplanes and taking immaculate care of them. She shares the do's and don'ts of airplane etiquette.
We've all learned our manners, but have you learned manners when it comes to flying? Today I'm going to share a couple key airplane etiquette tips that I've learned over the past 8 years. One of the most important things that you can do to be a courteous pilot is to always watch where the tail of your airplane is pointed. There's nothing worse than being blown by an aircraft or blowing dirt and debris into a hangar. This is one of the easiest ways to lose any and all cool factor. Our next tip is somewhat obvious, but nonetheless important. It's always important to double check that all the necessary switches have been turned off to ensure that the next pilot isn't greeted by a dead battery. Another important item to bring up is to never leave anything on the top of the panel, even headsets or navigation devices. This could potentially scratch the windscreen. Now that the airplane's here in the hangar, let's go through the interior. This next tip, again, might seem obvious, but over the years, I have seen numerous iPads, iPhones, and expensive sunglasses left in airplanes. So always make sure to triple check that you have all of your belongings and they have been removed. Lucky for us, these retractable type seatbelts make it super easy for a nice, clean, finished look. But with the older school lap belt designs, always make sure to tidy them up and put them nicely back on the seat. While I'm here, I'm also gonna check to make sure that there's no dirt, grass, or even crumbs from snacking left behind. It helps to keep a broom or a small vacuum handy. Now that we've finished with the interior, we moved to the outside of the airplane, and we're gonna focus on wiping down any surface where bugs could have gotten. This includes the leading edges, the cowling, and even the rudder. Once you've finished cleaning the airframe and any leading edges, it's important to also clean the windscreen, but it's really important to use a different microfiber cloth or rag to clean the windscreen. Here at AOPA, the blue microfibers are what we use to clean the windscreen so that we don't confuse the rags. Last but certainly not least, make sure to gently close all windows and doors. If you follow all of these tips, you're well on your way to becoming a very courteous pilot. But I'm curious, did I leave out any etiquette tips? Let me know down in the comments down below.
Thanks, Kayla. Great tips. Well, the FAA has released good news for pilots with mental health conditions. The FAA has said that pilots who take antidepressants no longer have to do the routine follow-up neuropsychological evaluations, and they estimate that this could save pilots $3,000 a year. So I am sure that is welcome news for so many pilots. In addition, they have also approved another antidepressant for pilots to take and be able to fly. It's bupropion, and it's marketed as Wellbutrin. That is the extended release and the sustained release options. AOPA President Mark Baker applauded the FAA for continuing to evaluate mental health condition treatments and removing barriers for pilots to be able to fly. And he also encouraged pilots to reach out and get the support they need for their mental health. Now, in something unrelated, the FAA had also announced that they have now given AMEs the ability to directly upload documents to the FAA, and so this is going to be something much better for AMEs to help the process. Well, the AOPA Foundation's You Can Fly Challenge is in full swing. If you donate to the foundation through this challenge through December 31st, your donation will be matched by the Ray Foundation. Donations actually help support major initiatives for general aviation, initiatives such as the You Can Fly High School STEM curriculum, flying club initiatives, flight training initiatives, and getting more rusty pilots back in the air. Last year, pilots generously stepped up, and between what pilots gave and the match, the foundation raised more than $5.6 million. Well, the Air Safety Institute has released a new accident report on night flying. Now, that accident report zeroes in on the challenges of flying at night, specifically spatial disorientation. They offer advice for navigating those obstacles safely. We have a link to that report down in the description below. Well, it's summertime. Have you ever just laid on the beach and watched those banner tow pilots flying up and down the shoreline, hauling all those banners for sales and stuff like that, and kind of wondered what it's like for a day in their life? Well, we take you behind the scenes of a banner tow operation.
My name is Ian Allenbaugh. I'm a banner pilot for Bob. This company is Ocean Aerial. Worked for them for the summer. I'm from central Kansas, town McPherson, about an hour north of Wichita. I was working at a lumber yard actually back home, and I was tired of that, and I was a commercial pilot and just decided that I wanted to be getting into actually using my commercial pilot license, and I had enough time for this job, and so I applied, and here I am. Right now I have about 950 hours total time, mostly tail wheel. What we do is we'll take off and we'll make a figure-8 pattern over this runway, and depending on the wind, we'll either come in this way or come in over the golf course. And we'll come down about 10 feet off the ground, and we'll have the hook out, throw it out when we're over top or after we take off. And it will swing down and it will be hanging down like almost on the ground. And you're flying, you're about 75 mile an hour or so indicated on the airspeed. And right before the poles, there's cones set up, and that's your target to snap. And so you pull back on the stick real hard and you increase power to full power right away at the same time. And you go straight up in the air, and about 200 feet is my mark for leveling off. I'll level off 200 feet, and then I'll feel that banner catch and then I know I got it, and I'm gonna be climbing out full power, climb up to about 1,000 feet, and then I head to the beach. It's enjoyable, you know, you get really rough days, you get smooth days, and you're always really thankful for the smooth days. You know, it's a blessing when you get the smooth days. I enjoy looking over on the other side and seeing like the dolphins, and I see manta rays, sharks. I've seen a few whales, sea turtles, stingrays, those kind of things. I enjoy that. Dropping, you're gonna come over, we always come over these wires over here no matter what, and you basically pull your power back to a good speed. You don't want to be stalling or anything, but you pull your power back and you get over the banner field out here. We have these releases in here, and it releases the hook and the banner attached as well, and you just try to make a good drop on the banner field. And then you go around, drop another hook, and try to pick up again. So this is a PA-18 Super Cub. It's 180 horse Lycoming. It's pretty basic. I mean, there isn't anything special to it. It has a seaplane prop on it for lots of grab. Good climbing factor there. Has the leading edge here. It's custom built for banner towing, actually. It's kind of like a stole kit. It has the droop tip wing tips. Yeah, this plane's been designed for banner towing. So yeah, this is the Super Bee. The people here are great. They're really nice people to work for. I'm gonna go back to Kansas and try to find some sort of a corporate job around home. I wanna be around home for a little while anyway. But the end goal is to be a bush pilot sometime up in Alaska and fly float planes. That's what I wanna do.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Fly with AOPA. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all our latest videos. And this week we leave you with some flying footage from right here in West Virginia. Be sure to stay tuned. We're going to have some backcountry beginner basics videos releasing in the coming weeks. And be sure to send in your favorite flying videos at the link in the description. You just might see them on an upcoming show. And as always, if you're not already an AOPA pilot, we'd love for you to join us. Just click the link at the end of the video to learn more about our trial membership. We'll see you next week.